All right, the moment you've all been waiting for, the voice reveal. This is, in fact, of Pack Buck 6. We will probably not do the face reveal for a while, if ever, but yeah, this is the voice reveal. And as you can see, what we will be doing is ranking NFL franchises historically. So let's get started. San Francisco 49ers, team I do not appreciate for what they've done to us in the playoffs, but can't deny their success. They are definitely probably that top tier goat of goats. They got, 5 Super Bowls all time. They haven't been as great since 2000. Obviously, that's good for me that they don't have any Super Bowls since 1995, but you can't deny their success, all the players that they have, and they're right up there at the top. Chicago Bears, another team I don't like. I obviously now they're not very good, but I think we'll put them in good. They have so much success in the pre NFL. Obviously, they have one of the best seasons of all time in 1985. But despite those facts, I mean, they're really not that good, especially as far as getting good quarterbacks. So, um, and then certainly since 2000, they aren't very good. But they're a historical franchise. You gotta, in my opinion, at least put them in good. Um, the Bengals, obviously, they're going to look to change this, but I think as of right now, you have to say they totally suck. Now, obviously, Joe Burrow has helped them over the last couple of years. And you look through the 1980s, they had some success. They made a couple Super Bowls, obviously, made one just 2 years ago, made the AFC Championship last year. But yeah, they got to find a way to take advantage of at least one Super Bowl with Joe Burrow to be put higher in this. Buffalo Bills, I think we're also going to put them in totally suck. I mean, I actually don't really think either of those teams really suck historically, but I mean, it is what it is. The tier, it's fourth tier really. But the Bills obviously made 4 straight Super Bowls in the 90s, and right now they're having success. But other than that, certainly from like 2000 to 2018, they didn't have much success there. But, as a whole, they're okay franchise. I'm almost tempted to put them in they don't totally suck because they're definitely better than the Bengals. You know what? I'm going to do that. I think the Bills have shown a lot, and I think they will continue to stay as a contender for a while. And if they start winning some Super Bowls, they might even be in good. Who knows? Broncos, I'd say they are good historically. They got 3 Super Bowls. They've actually, what's pretty crazy is they have, I think, like 8 or 9 appearances in the Super Bowl. So that's pretty impressive. Obviously, they got good John Elway and Peyton Manning, so some good quarterbacks. Recently, they haven't been great, especially last year was kind of hilarious, but historically, they're a pretty good franchise. Browns, well, if we're going since 1970, it's why do they still exist or whatever that tier is. But I think overall we'll say totally suck. So with their Ohio team, just because they were really, really good in the 1950s and in the early 60s as well. But yeah, since then, I mean, they've made a couple AFC championships, but overall, not really anything impressive for the Browns. Buccaneers. See, again, I wanted to say, why do they still exist? I don't know if that's a great tier for that. They do have 2 Super Bowls, so we'll put them in totally suck. They got like I think the worst win percentage, or at least they did a couple years ago, of all time. So that's something to consider. But when they have success, 2002, 2020, they take advantage of it. They've won 2 Super Bowls, so you can't deny too much of them. Now they still suck historically, but I think we'll put them there. Cardinals, well, I guess why do they still exist? I mean, right now they're terrible, and historically, I know they've been around for a while, but historically they're pretty bad as well. Uh, obviously they've only made 1 Super Bowl since 1966. That was in 2008. That wasn't even that great of a year if you look at it. And I mean, they're pretty bad. So I guess maybe they're there. Chargers. Um, I don't know. They're not that bad as far as win percentage. See, I wish there was another tier for this. They don't totally suck. We'll leave it at that for now. I might want to change. Obviously, they haven't won a Super Bowl yet, but you look. I mean, they do have some good talent on the rosters over the years, and they have been pretty good in the regular season, or at least decent overall. But I don't know if you could really. Uh, Man, that's a tough one to rank for me. All right, the Colts will put in good. They obviously also had Peyton Manning and Johnny Unitas, so some great quarterbacks. They had some rough stretches in the 1980s and 90s, but overall they got a couple Super Bowls. They've had some consistent success, so I think good is a fair place for them. Cowboys are next. Another team I don't really like very much. At least we have bested them in the playoffs recently, but you got to put them in go to goats. I mean, I don't think they deserve to be America's team, but I think you look at it along the line. They got 5 Super Bowls. Um, they've been good almost every decade, which is crazy, except for the late 1980s. And I mean, since 2000 or since 1995, they haven't won any Super Bowls, but they've been in the playoffs a decent amount. So I think unfortunately, they belong in that tier. The Miami Dolphins. See, I like a few years ago thought the Dolphins were like one of the best franchises ever, but they're definitely in the good tier. They haven't won a Super Bowl in 50 years, which is crazy. Obviously, they had Dan Marino for a while and had success there. They haven't been horrible since 2000, but certainly not great. And yeah, I mean, they haven't won any Super Bowls since 1973, which is crazy. So they belong in good. Eagles, okay, I think they don't totally suck. They've had some recent success with the Super Bowls 2017, 2021. They're a good overall franchise. They got or 2022, my bad. And next year, obviously, the upcoming years are going to be favored to win in the NFC. That is not very good right now. So they got good potential. Obviously, they had a long time without a championship from like 1950 to like 2017 when they made it. But yeah, I think that's probably where they belong for now. Falcons. I think why do they still exist? They're one of those teams that they don't have any Super Bowls. They obviously blew the 28-3 as much as you could possibly blow a game. Yeah, they're just one of those teams that and now they're not good. I mean, yeah. So I think why do they still exist, I guess. Giants, we'll put them in good. They actually, well, if you look overall, they might be in goat of goats. They have a lot of pre NFL success, but and they've actually won a Super Bowl in the 1980s, 1990s, 2000s, 2010s. So, I guess that gives away one Super Bowl winner for the 2020s. But yeah, I think we'll put them in good. Um, yeah. All right. Jaguars. It's unfortunate because I do kind of like the Jaguars, but they are definitely why do they still exist? Um, no Super Bowl appearances. They were good in the 90s for when they existed, but since 2000, they've been pretty much as big and a disaster as you can be. So, yeah. Jets. See, I would typically have a problem putting a team with a Super Bowl and why they still exist, but the Jets are just such an atrocity. Now they do have potential certainly to move up, especially if they have a couple years of success with Rodgers or a Super Bowl. But as of now, I mean, does a 1968 Super Bowl, does it count as much as some of the recent ones, maybe not. I just need to see it to believe it to put them much higher than that. All right, the Detroit Lions. They still exist. I mean, no Super Bowls. Again, pre NFL success, a little less though than the Browns. So you could say they belong in the same tier as the Browns, but I personally would not say that. So yeah, we'll put them in. Why do they still exist? I mean, no Super Bowls. Yeah. All right, Packers. This is the easy one. 13 championships, 4 Super Bowls. Obviously, I'm a Packers fan, so you would be shocked if I didn't put them in GOAT of GOATs. But 3 Hall of Fame and incredible quarterbacks. Actually, 4 Hall of Fame quarterbacks, and yeah, I mean they've just been a consistent NFC Championship team with Rodgers and Favre. So yeah, that you got to put them in GOAT of GOATs. Panthers, no Super Bowls. They're definitely not. Why do they still exist? We'll put them in totally suck. They're a little inconsistent actually. If you look at it, they have a lot of times where they're good for a year and then 2 years later are bad. They've made 2 Super Bowls. They had a good shot to beat the Patriots, and obviously they were favorites to beat the Broncos. But as a whole, certainly not a great franchise, and I think totally suck. And actually, after thinking about it, I think I'm going to move the Chargers down here just because of the fact that they only have 1 Super Bowl appearance. So yeah, we'll do that for now. Patriots, damn, another team I don't like. We'll put them in GOAT of GOATs. Obviously they've won 6 Super Bowls since 2000. You could make the argument that they belong in good because they did literally nothing before 2000. They did make a couple Super Bowls, but at the end of the day, especially for like 1985, they were a disaster. So, but they've made up for it and more since 2000 with all the Super Bowls. A team with the most Super Bowls or tied for the most Super Bowls in NFL history definitely belongs in the top tier, in my opinion. Chiefs, well, they probably in 2017 would be, and they don't totally suck. But now, with all these great years with Mahomes, they're in good, and they're approaching GOAT of GOATs. Like if they won another Super Bowl, they could definitely be in that conversation. Because you forget about it. Now they were pretty bad, I think, in the 70s and 80s. 90s they had some success. 2000s, I don't know. Probably they weren't that good. But 2010s, with Alex Smith and stuff, and then obviously now with Mahomes, they've had quite a bit of success. And back in the 60s in the AFL, they won at least a couple championships. So yeah, I would say good for them as well. And, especially because of recent history. Raiders are also good. They've really not done anything since 2000. I mean, 2 wild card appearances, I believe. And then certainly the first one, they weren't all that competitive against the Texans. Well, actually, since like 2003. But, and then the Bengals, they lost that one as well. But you look at all the success they had with John Madden and in the 1970s and even in the 80s. They definitely belong in good, but yeah, I don't know if you could put them much higher. Rams, well, that's a tough one. Between they don't totally suck and good. I think I'm gonna say they don't totally suck. Like they're a little worse than the Chiefs since or before, say 2017, but the Chiefs have been incredible since then. The Rams have only been great. So those are the 2 teams I'm looking at that are kind of similar. So yeah, I think they don't totally suck. They have, of course, won some Super Bowls, or they won a Super Bowl, made another one recently. But yeah, I think that's where they belong. They feel like a pretty average overall franchise. Ravens, they would surprise you. They're good because they've been a consistent playoff team, like really a lot since really, especially since 2000, they got a couple Super Bowls. Obviously, since 2010, the John Harbaugh days, they've had some success. They won it all in 2012. Had one of the best defenses ever in 2000. So, yeah, as a whole, they're a good franchise. If they were like an older franchise, then they probably could be in GOAT of GOATs, but they're only since 1996. So, yeah, good is where they belong. Washington, not that logo, but we'll say good, I guess. That's another weird one. Like they've been. Hmm, I'm gonna say they don't totally suck because like they're even worse than some of those other teams, like the Dolphins, where they've just been so bad since 2000. Um, and before that, they were good. That's another tough one to rank. Yeah, I'm going back and forth. I'll just put them in good. I mean, they do have three Super Bowls. They have some good talent over the years, and I think they were good in the pre NFL as well. So I guess they're good. Saints, I'll say totally suck. Of course, they won the Super Bowl with Breeze 2009. Before that, they probably would be in. Why do they still exist? Think they were, I think, one of the most humiliating franchises before that. But they got a Super Bowl. They since I think 2006, they've had quite a bit of success. Obviously, now they're not quite as good, but yeah, totally suck. I think is where they probably belong for now. Um, but they did win a Super Bowl, so that moved them up a little bit. Seattle Seahawks, they don't totally suck. I think uh, because they're pretty good overall, actually, as far as win percentage, and I think even playoff win percentage. They've made three Super Bowls. They won one. So that's pretty average as a whole. I mean, they're definitely not terrible, but yeah, I think you can't say they suck, and you also can't really say they're all that good historically. So yeah, I think pretty much average is good for them. Steelers, goat of goats. That's a pretty easy one. They've also won six Super Bowls like the Patriots. They made a couple other ones. Obviously, I'm glad we beat them in the Super Bowl, but as a whole, they've been a very consistent playoff team. Now, one thing that hurts the Steelers a little bit, as a lot of you know, is they were not very good before, say, 1970, but that's not enough to get them out of GOAT of GOATs. They're one of the most well-known franchises of all time, and rightfully so. Texans, this is easy. Why do they still exist? They might be the worst franchise historically when considering everything. Um, yeah, they just have no actual success. They haven't even made a AFC championship yet. So, yeah, I mean, and no Super Bowls, obviously. They've only been around since 2002, don't have much talent all time. So, well, actually, they have like Andre Johnson, J.J. Watt, but not to the same extent as a lot of these teams. Tennessee Titans, as we got just two remaining. They again have only made one Super Bowl. They were pretty bad as the Oilers. They've actually been better than I thought they've been since 1999 when they became the Titans. They made a Super Bowl. They've been a decently consistent playoff team, but they've only made one Super Bowl, and they haven't been that very good as far as win percentage all time. So I think totally suck. Vikings, well, I think they embarrass themselves a lot because uh, I saw a stat that they're like fifth all time in division championships, and yet they have no Super Bowls. Like I love picking on the Vikings, but they definitely don't totally suck. I mean, I get because regular season wise, they have a lot of success and they've made four Super Bowls. Those are two good things to look at. But as a whole, I mean, you've wasted a lot of opportunities to win Super Bowls, and I think maybe their biggest waste was 1998 when they, uh, were one of the best teams of all time, 15-1, and then against the Falcons blew it in the NFC Championship. So, and they've had a lot of other moments where they've just blown it late. So, but yeah, I'm glad they don't have any Super Bowls, or else they probably would be in good. But because of that, they don't totally suck. So I think I'm actually just gonna rank this in the tiers real quick, or try to. So Packers are the best. I'm gonna say Steelers are second best, 49ers, Cowboys, Patriots. I think that's fair for the top five. Best team here, I'm going to say the Giants are the best. You look at all around, they've been a pretty consistent team. You could see Bears at second, Broncos at third, maybe Raiders at fourth, Chiefs at fifth there. Ravens, Dolphins, Washington, all I'd say over the Colts, because I talked about earlier they were really bad in, I think, 80s and 90s. So, yeah. They don't totally suck. I think the best of these teams is probably the Rams, followed by the Seahawks, followed by the Eagles, and then, I mean, Bills and Vikings. You can't go wrong either way. They're kind of similar. So, but I just like the Bills more, so I guess we'll put them over. This tier, we'll say Chargers are best there. Then we'll say Saints, Browns, because they did have the pre-NFL success. Titans, Bengals. Oh, actually, Panthers are up a little bit. We'll put Panthers there. Panthers, Browns, Titans, Bengals, Buccaneers. Yeah, I think that's the way I like it. And then why do they still exist? Actually, we'll put Titans above. Okay. Why do they still exist? Jets, because they have the Super Bowl. Falcons probably next. Lions, Cardinals, Jaguars, Texans. Okay, so in case you wanted to know my actual rankings, 1 to 32, that would pretty much be it. But yeah, we put them in the tiers. I think this is very reasonable for overall. Continue to like and subscribe videos, and maybe eventually we'll get a face review.